Hello again, friends, and welcome to today's segment here on Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. I'm going to do something a little bit different here today. I don't have a cocktail for you. I don't have a wine region to talk to you about. I don't have a wine to share with you. No other information on wine regions and any of that. But I do have something that I want to share with you that I think is a good opportunity for you. And I'll talk more about that as soon as we get this little party started. So I'm going to start this little affair today with a bottle of Treveri Blanc de Blanc from Washington State. It's a nice sparkling. I happened to find it in New Hampshire on a visit to my son just about a week or so ago. And the reason that I'm sharing this one with you is it's a little bit of foreshadowing. My wine group, which I've talked about several times, and if you've been following me, you've seen posts from the different regions. We've already selected our region for this year. We are going to the Yakima Valley in September. So stay tuned for that. I know it's a little bit away, but the planning has already begun, and the planning is also to sample some of their wines. So let's take a little pour of this nice Blanc de Blanc. We are actually going to be visiting the champagne house or sparkling wine house in Yakima. I've already contacted them, but I thought if I could find a bottle, I'd like to get a little advance notice. Nice yeast. Very nice. Very, 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 very nice. And just to give you a little of their thoughts, smooth, complex, and crisp. Fresh and dry finish, and served chilled to fully enjoy. And it's been chilling all day, and I am fully enjoying it. So cheers and welcome. What I want to share with you today is it's kind of called this kind of a public service announcement, a PSA, for an organization that's been around in the United States since the 1950s, and it is called the American Wine Society. And I'm going to talk to you just in general because I can post everything that you need to know about the American Wine Society on a link, and you can go read and enjoy it yourself. I just wanted to come on here and share a little time with you. So that's what I'm going to do by giving you the highlights of the American Wine Society and what it stands for. So what the American Wine Society is just that. It's a society of wine lovers, winemakers, restaurateurs, wineries. Its history dates back to the 1950s, as I said, when, believe it or not, for those of you that are familiar with Eastern wine, Eastern U.S. wine, Dr. Constantine Frank was kind of the grandfather of the American Wine Society, and he gets the credit for getting the organization started. So if you've ever been to Dr. Frank's winery, he got the American Wine Society started, and we're all, at least all of us wine drinkers, are the better for it. So the way the American Wine Society works is it's an organization. They've got a national board, they've got local chapters, they run a conference, they do all kinds of education programs to help the novices and people who are well into wine, which I consider myself one of them. It offers all of those services for you and more. Now, I happen to have joined the organization 3 years ago. It's a funny story. My wife's cousin said, "Oh, we're going to an American Wine Society meeting." And I said, "What's that?" And then she began to tell me, and one thing led to another. And so I found out about the American Wine Society, which is based in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Their national office was based in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The chapter that my wife's cousin belonged to was one of the biggest in the nation. So I said, I got to get into this. So I did my research, and lo and behold, I did the research here in my area. I checked the map, and just in southeastern Pennsylvania alone, there are 8 chapters. And the reason that I'm sharing this with you is that it gives all of you an opportunity to find people who are into wine, or if you want to get into wine more and meet some other people in the process, this is the perfect avenue to do it. So let me talk a little bit about what you would do. You just go online, you click in, you join, and you join a chapter, they send an email to you, you get invited, and you go to these events. So that's a lot in 30 seconds there, but let me break it down for you how it would actually work for you. So you're sitting at your computer, you click in, you'd sign up and you'd join. Now there is a fee. There's a membership fee for solo, which is a $39 membership fee every year. And there's one that's called the household, which is for 2 people in the household, husband and wife, or whatever your relationship may be. So that one costs $89, and you have to pay it annually, or you're not allowed to go to the quote chapter events or get involved in any of their activities. I just like that sound. And I like that wine. So the way the chapters are set up is that it's all very organized. It has a formality to it, but then when you have the chapter meetings, it's very informal. So let me break down for you what a chapter might look like. A chapter, you can choose your own name. Like the one I belong to is called the Perkiomen Valley American Wine Society chapter. There's one in Indian Valley, which is over, it's more east of me toward Montgomery and Bucks County. There's one in Lancaster County. There's one in Berks County. There's one in Philadelphia. I imagine that's a huge chapter. I have not been to that one. There's one in Northampton County. They're literally all over the map. There's 7,000 plus members across the country who are in the American Wine Society. Their conference this year, for example, is in Chantilly, Virginia, which is just outside the Beltway in Northern Virginia. So the chapters then have a board. They generally have a president, a vice president. They have somebody who's like a treasurer, because none of the events you go to are free. You pay as you go based on what they reimburse the person that's holding the party. They have liability insurance. It's not meant to be a blowout kind of college style party that you went to back in the day to get wasted. You're there to sample wine. You get a score sheet. Each event, they want you to serve 6 wines, and everybody gets a 2-ounce pour. So by the end of the night, you've only had about 12 ounces, maybe 3 or 4 glasses of wine. If that, some people take less, some people might take a little bit of a bigger ounce pour, but really, I've been to events and people are not there to get wasted. And then food pairing is optional. You can just put out some nuts and crackers and things like that for people to clean their palate. But most people, when they throw their chapters and somebody hosts, they put out something to pair, like a wine and food pairing, but it's not mandatory. So what a chapter does then, they have that board. I'm on the board of Perk Valley, and they have it large members. So I'm just somebody there to help and offer advice, to fill in for somebody if they need it. So the chapter has meetings, and the board has its business meetings to determine, like they make up an agenda for the year. So I know that the Perk Valley chapter, we are now in the process of putting into place our 12 different meetings for the year. So my wife and I are actually going to host one of those events here. So, and then you pick the theme. That's up to you and up to the board. And they want you to meet. In order to be a chapter, you have to meet at least 6 times a year and hold some kind of wine tasting event. And then you use their score sheets, which are very informative, and they help you become a better wine taster. And the chapter that I belong to, they pretty much go monthly. They're far exceeding their requirement, so to speak. So 6 minimum meetings a year, and at those meetings, your whole goal is to share good wine and invite as many people as you possibly can. The chapter dues, there are no chapter dues. You have to pay your national dues, and then your national dues allow you to be put on a roster so that when you go to a local, say for example, you wanted to join the Berks County has one, it's called Grape Expectations. So if you wanted to join Grape Expectations, your name would go into a database and they would know that you've paid your dues. You can't just show up and not be a member of the American Wine Society. If you want to have parties like that. You just have them informally. But this has a formal structure that requires you to join. And then when you go to your events, they tell you at the event how much the wine tasting will actually cost, because you're going to be getting really good wine, supposedly, and maybe some food along the way. So that's pretty much a quick summary of the American Wine Society. They go by AWS. You get a little membership card, and the people that I've met so far have been absolutely wonderful. I already have a wine group. My wife and I kind of head up in collaboration with about 10 to 12, 14 of our friends, a group we call the Cork Jesters. Well, that's just us. There's no dues. My wife and I we kind of supply the wine, but everybody, sometimes we have a summer event where we do a kind of like a cook-off. It's a wine and pairing off, where people bring wine and they pair it with the food, and then people vote. And we've made up this crazy little trophy. You may have seen it in some of the clips that I posted. That's not this. You may have friends that you hang out with and drink wine and do this and do that. You're on your own there. But when you're with the American Wine Society, they want you to follow those things that I just detailed to you, making sure that you keep the servings 6 bottles only, 2 ounces per pour, and then the food and stuff is up to you in terms of what your preference is. So there you have it. That's the American Wine Society, and I will post for you I'll post their website, and then you can just go through it at your leisure. And if you want to join, feel free to join. You don't need me. You can join whichever one is. I know a lot of you are not local here on my blog, but if you want to join, you can find one. Just if you go to the website, it'll direct you. If you're technologically savvy, in a heartbeat, you'll be able to find anything you need to know about the American Wine Society. I'm having a good time with it. We were going to form our own chapter, but we decided against that because we already have a wine group, and I didn't want to be double dipping and just making my life all about throwing wine parties. So with all of that, I'm going to leave you and say next time I see you, we'll be in the month of April, headed toward hopefully what's going to be a wonderful spring. So until the next time, my friends, cheers. And make sure you like Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review, DWGSR. Follow me on YouTube, and also look for the clip or the link that I'm going to post about the American Wine Society. We'll see you again.